What's up everyone? Welcome back to another video. My name is Justin, and on my channel I talk about all things real estate, money, and self-development. And for today's video, I'm gonna tell you guys about my very first virtual wholesale deal. If you haven't gotten your first deal yet, then I want you to watch this entire video to get the inspiration that you need to find that first deal. Because honestly, you are just one deal away from changing your life. And if you enjoy this content and find it helpful in any way, it would help me out tremendously if you just subscribe to my channel. It seriously helps me out a ton, and it actually does make a big difference. But let's get right into the video. So I want to tell you all about this deal, but I'm going to break it up into three parts. The first part is going to be the find, how I found the deal. Second part is going to be the escrow, so the actual transaction. And the last part are the numbers. You know, what did the numbers look like? What was the profit? So I'm going to tell you all about that, but those are the three parts that I'm going to be talking about. And like I said, the first part we're going to be talking about is the find. How did I find this deal? So this deal is located in Fresno, California. And if you're returning this channel, you know that I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. So it's a state away. And I found this deal from a buddy of mine. He actually reached out to me and he said the seller, he wants to sell his home, but it's kind of at a big, massive discount compared to what the market value is. And so he came to me and he said, Justin, I don't really know what to do with this. I don't know if I want to flip it or wholesale or what. I don't know how to do either. Want to help me out? And I said, yeah, sure, I'd help you out. And after talking to my buddy, I pretty much wanted to kind of figure out, okay, what is he looking to do with his home? What does he want? And I pretty much told him that if he was looking to flip it with me, that I had a lot of my own cash tied up in a different flip. And if we wanted to flip it, that we would need to bring in another cash partner, which honestly, I told him that might get a little bit messy. So I presented the idea of wholesaling it together and kind of doing a joint venture on a wholesale deal. And he was super open to it, so that's what we did. This was a single family home in Fresno, California, super nice part of Fresno, but that was pretty much the deal. That's how we found it. And after talking to my buddy a little bit more, he decided, and I decided with him, that it might be best to just go 50-50 on it. You know, keep it nice and simple. He pretty much brought the deal, but I would pretty much help him and guide him through the entire process, which he had no idea what it was about. And so that was the deal. That's kind of how we worked it out. So that's how I found it. And now that you know how I found the deal, let me tell you how escrow actually went. So we locked this deal up at $258,000. The seller initially wanted upwards of $275,000, but after my kind of coaching with my buddy, we ended up getting the seller to drop his price from like $275,000 to $258,000, which was awesome. It was sweet, and the seller was happy with it in the end. And before actually making that offer for $258,000 and locking it up under contract, I talked to my friend and I let him know that the after repair value, or the value of the home after fixing up this home, would be worth somewhere around $365,000. And so just by that, I knew that we could find a rental investor who would pay, you know, close to $290,000 for the home. So I knew that we could wholesale it for around $290,000 when we locked it up for under $258,000. And while I was searching for that end buyer, I actually ran into some problems. And the biggest one was actually with my broker. So I was a realtor at the time, a licensed realtor, and I'm not gonna name the broker, but they essentially told me that they're not okay with me wholesaling while holding my license under their brokerage, which, you know, it's understandable because whenever I wholesale a deal, it's not a commission. So I pretty much make the profit of a wholesale assignment fee, but the broker doesn't get any money, yet they might have some liability. And just because that I am a realtor under them, and they might have some liability there. So some brokers are not okay with it, and that's okay. And so pretty much, you know, during this deal, I had to part ways with my broker. I pretty much told them, you know, if you're not okay with this, I'm not okay staying with you guys. And I had no problem saying that because I knew that I wanted to pursue the investing full time, and I didn't like the realtor stuff that much. But after that fiasco, I did end up finding a buyer who wanted to buy this thing for $285,000. Now, $285,000, that's a $27,000 difference than what we locked it up for at $258,000. So we would split that between me and my partner, you know, evenly at the time. So we get that under contract, the new buyer signs the assignment agreement, he's ready to close on the thing. We have an escrow close date of 30 days. And, you know, everything's going great so far. 30 days starts to approach and we get closer and closer to that 30-day mark. And the buyer starts to get antsy. I mean, he had a cash partner and he ended up backing out of the deal because of that. Like, we had to extend escrow because, well, we found out the seller still had a small loan on the property, and it was taking a long time for the bank to actually verify that. When you work with a lot of big banks, you start to realize that banks kind of take a long time to do stuff, like very simple stuff. So the end buyer, he was getting antsy and he backed out of the deal. So he pretty much signed saying that he will deposit $2,500 to escrow, which he did, but that it was going to be non-refundable no matter the case, essentially, unless something happened that really wasn't his fault at all. He signed that, and we went into the agreement knowing that he would pretty much lose the $2,500 if he ended up backing out. And he ends up backing out, and he finds a loophole within the contract, and he pretty much wants his earnest money deposit back. And, you know, after talking to him, I kind of talked to him more and more and figured out, you know, I will give your deposit back because we already had a new buyer. But at the time, in my head, I'm thinking, I will never work with you again. Why? Because he went back against his word. And if you decide to do business with me and you say you're gonna do something and you do not do it, then I hope you expect that I will never do business with you again. And that goes for everything in real estate investing. In this industry, your word is your bond. Just like my word is my bond. If I ever say I'm gonna do something, you better expect me to do it. And if I don't, you better hold me accountable. And so now, like, it was a really bad experience because he did not deserve, in my opinion, to keep that deposit, but I let him just because now I know I'm never gonna work with him again. He's off my cash buyers list and it's settled. But in the end, he backs out and we find a new buyer who's willing to pay more than he paid anyway. So the new buyer is willing to pay $292,000, and we still have this under contract here, $258,000. So now that assignment fee is $34,000. And that $34,000 is gonna be split between me and my partner. So here are the numbers. The gross assignment fee, so the difference between the $292,000 and the $258,000 that we actually locked up initially, was $34,000. So that was the gross assignment fee that was split between me and my partner. So now that you know the gross, let me explain what we had to pay for. Of that $34,000, we paid a total of $2,000 to the seller to make sure that he did not back out of the deal, which he could have due to non-performance from the new buyer, because the new buyer really did not get his earnest money deposit in time. And the seller did have a case to back out of the deal, and we did not want him to do that. So we threw up $2,000, so $1,000 from me, $1,000 from my partner, just to make sure the seller did not back out of the deal. That was something that, you know, I really didn't want to do, but you really want to do everything you can to just get the deal done. So that was the first thing that we did. The next thing that we did was actually giving $250 each, so a total of $500, to cover the extra HOA costs that the seller was behind on. Initially, we knew that the seller was behind on his HOA payments by about $4,000, and the new buyer was willing to pay up to $4,000 of back payments. But by the time escrow closed, there was an extra $500 of HOA payments, and neither the seller nor the new buyer wanted to pay that. So we just covered the difference, again, just to get the deal done. So when it's all said and done, me and my partner each got a gross profit of $17,000. Of that $17,000, like I said, we both had to contribute $1,000 each just to get the deal done so that we can give that to the seller. And then we also had to contribute the $250 each. So after those different expenses, the total net profit of this deal is actually $15,750, which is pretty good for a wholesale deal. When it's all said and done, I was actually extremely happy with this deal, just for the simple fact that this was my very first deal that was done completely virtual. So I didn't even live in the area where I did the wholesale deal, and that was huge to me. So in order to do this, I had to have someone on the ground. So someone there who was actually able to, you know, open up the doors and deal with a home or the in-person showings for other investors. Because without that, you know, this deal couldn't have been done. But otherwise, doing things virtually, you know, I'm still getting used to it. It's a lot harder, I will say that, but it's so worth it. And if you stuck here to the very end, let me just tell you that you are one deal away from changing your life. And so if you're new to this and you want to get more into the real estate investing or the wholesaling, just stick with it and just keep grinding every single day, keep learning, and you will get there. But thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you at the next one.